Welcome to 5 Live here on India Today. You're just in time to see history being made. India's big space giri is all set for a global display once again. Live images coming to you, the viewer, from here at Sriharikota, the Satish Dhawan Space Centre, the heart of India's space prowess. In just under 2 minutes from now, the GSAT-9 satellite will be blasting off from Sriharikota on a GSLV Indian rocket. It's Modi's space gift to India's neighbors, Nepal, Bhutan. And there you have it. She's in the air, GSAT-9, in these live pictures. Take a look at GSAT-9 getting airborne right now, live to you here on India Today. Successful launch so far of the GSAT-9 mounted on the GSLV, proven Indian space rocket, and headed to its geosynchronous orbit. Now this is a very, very interesting satellite because it's a symbol of India's prowess, but also a symbol of India's generosity and rising power in the region. This satellite will serve not just India, but also Nepal, Bhutan, Sri Lanka, Bangladesh and the Maldives. It was originally supposed to be a SAARC satellite, but Pakistan, the paranoid state that it is, decided it didn't want to be a part of this amazing space venture that you're seeing live here on India Today. As the GSAT-9 gets into orbit in this beautiful trajectory that it has drawn in the skies over Sriharikota, Pakistan has decided not to be a part of history and has decided to sit on the sidelines and simply sulk. This is a satellite for very, very constructive purposes, for disaster communication, for coordination, for better connectivity between countries and between agencies. And that's why many of these smaller countries and India's neighbors have been looking to Big Brother India to sit on India's shoulders and get into the space realm. Countries like Bhutan, countries like Bangladesh, which have had no access to space assets, now have something to call their own. In just a few moments from now, the GSAT-9, as you can see, that has blasted off on GSLV, will be inserted into orbit and become a fresh new asset for India and these other 5 grateful nations in South Asia. Pakistan and Afghanistan, although a part of SAARC, will not be a part of this project. They decided to sit it out. Afghanistan couldn't afford it, and Pakistan was too paranoid to let its own assets be blasted off on an Indian satellite. Pakistan, of course, cannot even be compared. It's difficult to give Pakistan any dignity when comparing the two countries as far as space assets is concerned. India is on a completely and exponentially different level. And the images you see on your screen now, the successful launch of the GSAT-9, is only the latest symbol of India's growing power. It's Space Giri, a promise made in 2014 by Prime Minister Modi, bearing fruit now, India's generous gift to 5 other nations, its 5 neighbors, and an amazing, resounding statement of India's growing power in the realm of space, in the realm of the future. Let's go straight across to India Today's Rohini Swami, who's been joining us live from Sriharikota and reporting on this. Rohini, what a beautiful image. What a stunning image of GSLV. This has become so familiar to us. Rohini, you've covered so many satellite launches from right there in Sriharikota. You know, this particular satellite is a special one. It's not just Indian. The prestige of so many countries is linked to what we're seeing right now, Rohini.
Absolutely. And you know, Shiv, each time we see a launch, our heart fills with pride to see how the Indian Space Research Organization is not just a space organization for the country, but something that an organization that provides for many, many countries and helps us. But this particular satellite, which is no more called the SAARC satellite, but called South Asia satellite, it carries around 2,230 kg of on itself, and this mission has been something extremely important. You mentioned about it. telecommunications is something which is extremely important for the SAARC countries, because we saw what happened to telecommunications when Nepal faced the earthquake. It was completely broken down. Now this particular satellite is definitely going to help in terms of communication, especially in terms of disaster. The other countries who have joined the bandwagon, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, and all of them are definitely extremely proud of the fact that they have been a part of this satellite. Now, let me quickly tell you that Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, Nepal, Bhutan, Maldives, now they all have contributed to this 235 crore satellite. And as the Prime Minister calls it, it's a priceless gift to our neighbors, because neighbors come first. Now let's talk about the pride of it being an Indian satellite. We have seen how the ISRO chairman, Mr. Kiran Kumar, also said that while things have gone smoothly, we've seen the takeoff, an absolutely perfect takeoff that we have seen right now. When it goes and soars into the sky, we will have to wait for a few minutes when actually the mission will be declared a success. And once that is done, then India, like you said, stands the big brother for the SAARC countries to look up to, literally and figuratively.
One of the beautiful things about this particular satellite is, as India sits rapt watching these beautiful images of GSAT-9 blasting off into space in that amazing clear blue sky, 28 hours after the big countdown began by the Indian Space Research Organization right there at the Satish Dhawan Space Centre. One of the beautiful things about this is, like you said, Rohini, this isn't just an Indian satellite. There are 5 other transponders, on that satellite. And each of those countries will be able to harness the power of this satellite. India has borne, remember this, remember, ladies and gentlemen, India has borne much of the cost of this project. It is seen as space diplomacy. It is seen as a way to build bridges and create stronger friendships between India and many of these neighbors. Sometimes relationships have been problematic. You have countries like China that is trying to build strong bridges with countries like Bangladesh, like with Sri Lanka and Maldives. But with this particular space launch, with this launch of the GSAT-9, India has once again established that it is a reliable, democratic force ruled by a constitution, not a communist party with a huge number of autocratic elements within it like China, an unpredictable regime like the People's Liberation Army in China. India is a constitutional democracy with an enormous, robust scientific base that is capable of delivering on its promises and building credible, reliable diplomatic friendships with many of these countries. This, the GSAT-9, is also going to be seen as a technological marvel because of the way it will create a game-changing atmosphere as far as communications for all of these countries is concerned. During the Nepal earthquake not very long ago, one of the things, for instance, that Nepal found was that it simply did not have access to space assets to create the kind of communication network and grid that should have been possible in such a scenario. This satellite will make it possible. God forbid, let's hope there are no more disasters of that kind. But if they come and if they visit us or any of these countries, this satellite will play an enormous role. We're waiting to hear from the Indian Space Research Organization in just a moment. We'll also have our executive editor Gaurav Sawant, who will be taking us through the diplomatic tangles that finally saw Pakistan in a not very surprising way decide to sit out from this program. They could have been a part of this program, but Pakistan decided not to be because they were paranoid about the possibility of India stealing data. As fantastic as that actually sounds, they decided to sit it out. So did Afghanistan. So this is only India, Nepal, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, Maldives and Bhutan that are part of the GSAT-9 program. And in just a few moments from now, these are pictures that you saw of the blast off just a short while ago. The rocket is no longer visible. It's flying way too high at this point of time and will only be tracked by telemetric instruments at the Satish Dhawan Space Centre, as well as several other Earth stations spread across the country and some Earth stations abroad as well. In a short while from now, we'll be getting live data about the successful insertion of the South Asian satellite into its geosynchronous orbit, and by late tonight it will begin functioning. The first tests will be conducted. There are a range of trials that need to be gone through by the hugely proficient ISRO team at the Satish Dhawan Space Centre at Sriharikota, after which GSAT-9 will be declared operational and it will become an asset to India and its 5 neighbor friends. That's the amazing thing about this satellite, ladies and gentlemen. And in just a short while from now, we'll get you many more live images and many more pieces of information to keep you up to speed on where this satellite is and what it's going to do. I want to go across to Gaurav Sawant, our executive editor, who's been tracking this story very, very closely. Gaurav, this is you know, we've gotten used to it in this country. You know, it's no longer surprising, you know, that India is sending a rocket into space, inserting a satellite into space. Also not the first time that India has sent, you know, somebody else's satellite into space. But this one is special, isn't it, Gaurav? This is a real symbol of India's rising power. And it also amplifies just where Pakistan is vis-a-vis India's rising power in space.
Oh, absolutely, Shiv. This is India taking space diplomacy to altogether a new level, a satellite that will benefit not just India, but all the SAARC countries would have benefited Pakistan. But the cussed nation that Pakistan is, it's choosing to stay away. It's Pakistan's loss. But look at the gains from this. From Afghanistan to India, to Bangladesh, to Bhutan, to Maldives, to Sri Lanka, to all our SAARC brothers and sisters. As Prime Minister Narendra Modi said, this is India's priceless gift to the SAARC countries. They benefit in terms of excellent communication, disaster management, disaster awareness. So in all of this, over the next 12 years, this satellite will send information back, and that information will benefit this entire region, except of course Pakistan, that thinks that all Pakistan's secret communications will be made public and available to India had they become a part of this.
You know, Gaurav, you know, one of the most amazing things, and I want you to explain this to our viewer, you know, countries like Nepal, countries like Bhutan that have no space programs to speak of. You know, China has a big space program. They've been trying to make inroads into many of these countries. But these countries that have, you know, they don't have the resources to invest in space assets. What's happening today is a really big deal for them, isn't it? The possibility of actually having an asset in space in just the next couple of hours. It's history for these countries, Gaurav.
Spot on there, Shiv. One, it's history for these countries, and two, the amount of development this will bring to those countries, and that comes free of cost. It comes from a friend, from a brother,
yes.
A country that actually wants to help this entire region grow, because in case Bangladesh and Afghanistan and Sri Lanka and Maldives and Bhutan, when they grow, and Nepal, when they grow, India grows with them, and the clout of this bloc, the South Asian bloc, will be such that the world will take us as a bloc far more seriously than any one individual country. So whether it's terrain mapping, which is extremely crucial,
yes,
whether it's communication, and since you and I covered defense and foreign affairs, communication is so important in today's day and age. Disaster awareness and disaster management, in all these spheres, this satellite over the next 12 years will play a very crucial role, and being forewarned is being forearmed.
Absolutely.
That is exactly what this satellite will do for this entire region, barring Pakistan.
You couldn't have put it better, Gaurav. Being forewarned and forearmed about disasters is something that this satellite, you know, will it'll be very valuable in that sense, in addition to many other uses that it's going to have. And one of the beautiful things about such satellites is, apart from the existing mission profiles, scientists will actually be able to discover new missions as they go along. As the satellite gets to spread its wings, as it gets to, you know, do a couple of orbits, then scientists will really start to understand what this satellite is capable of performing. I want to bring in Rohini Swami, our deputy editor, in once again on the story. She's witnessed many of these launches herself firsthand, and this is only the latest. Rohini, what are your sources in ISRO telling you? Just take our viewers through what the next few hours is going to be. You know, the crucial launch phase is almost complete. The next phase will be the orbital insertion, after which there will be some trials, and then the satellite will be declared operational, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, that's how the procedure usually happens. The most crucial being liftoff and then insertion into the orbit. Now we've seen how the liftoff has taken place, and that too in an extremely beautiful manner. So insertion into the orbit would take another hour, and that is why that countdown is extremely important. While saying that also, Shiv, how it works down for the common man to understand is the satellite itself, after takeoff, once it passes through the various levels of our atmosphere, once it is put in its orbit, it would take some time for it to settle. And that is when ISRO actually declares that the mission is a success. So it is not as simple as it sounds, like we're breaking it down right now. Each second is around 10 to 20,000 heartbeats of every ISRO scientist. Let me also quickly tell you that while we are talking about disaster management and this satellite also helping people, it also helps the common man in these countries. And why so? Because it will also help in DTH, direct to home. So we are also talking about how it will help in setting up communications through television sets too. At a time and age when we're using wireless communication, we're using our satellites, this will help. It's not just about mobile connectivity anymore. We're also talking about voice over IP and other kinds of communication that can be helped. So this will make the South Asian countries a lot more powerful. And that is why India's this huge step forward, Shiv, is not just about India defending itself, but India providing defense for other countries also.
This is such a power moment for India. I mean, I love this. I'm loving every moment of, our coverage of this, because this is truly so well beyond just being a satellite and a machine. It's a diplomatic gift. It's a symbol of India's rising power. It's a symbol of generosity and friendship as far as India is concerned. And so emblematic of what India really aspires to be. Gaurav and Rohini, thank you so much for joining us for the moment on 5 Live, but we will continue to track this story. That satellite and on its rocket is on its way towards orbital insertion. We're going to keep an eye on it.